Peace and blessings. This is Raisa Ghiwala, the Divorced Muslima Coach. I'm your host here in the Divorced Muslima Network. And today I wanted to hop on and talk about communication and co-parenting. It's something that we have been talking about in our group for the past couple of days. And one of the things that comes up a lot with the women that I'm supporting and helping in creating this new normal after their divorce is co-parenting and communication, especially when you've been in a really controlling or manipulative or a really difficult marriage or relationship where the communication wasn't good. And now you have to not only separate as a couple, but you still have to still be together somewhat, still be a team in terms of raising your children, in terms of making decisions about your children. So, of course, feelings get in the way of that. Feelings of whatever you're going through, that the feelings and normal feelings that come up when you have a separation of anger, frustration, hurt, pain, resentment, all of those type of things. So, you're here, you're separated. So, of course, to begin with, communication was an issue, right? So if communication was an issue, now more than ever, communication needs to be clearer, more explicit, more professional. And in terms of professional, what I'm talking about is I'm just meaning like respectful, right? And if people are at each other, the respect goes out the window. And that's something I had mentioned before in my previous life, that usually when people separate, respect goes out the window. They start behaving that they're like their worst selves rather than their best self. So what do you do when you need to communicate about schooling or about health or about scheduling with your ex here about your child or your children, and you're not getting a response, or you're getting bullied, or you're getting pressured into making a decision one way or another, something that you don't agree with, and you're feeling forced or pressured or even bullied based on how the other person communicates with you, or you're in the space of let's say not even getting a response, right? Because that is also a way of communication, not getting a response, or pressurizing someone is also a way of communication. And so what do you do in there, in that situation? And one of the first things that I really wanted to mention is that, first of all, when the other person is behaving that way, it's an indication, first of all, of them, of their behavior patterns, their coping mechanisms. And that's the thing, when you've separated, you are going from a marital relationship to a parental relationship, and that requires a level, and in the beginning I said professionalism, that requires a level of neutrality, of respect, of having boundaries. And when you're separating, you have to be cognizant and conscious of that, because if not, then you're either going to fall into the same dynamic pattern that you had in the marriage, but how can you be, right? Because you're no longer husband and wife. And so you have to really learn a new way of being, a new way of interacting. And how does that work? And how does that happen when all you know is the way that you interacted in your marriage? Because what gets in the way? What gets in the way is feelings. So if you're feeling any feelings like hurt, pain, upset, frustration, that is what is going to get in the way of you showing up neutrally, respectfully, looking at what the problem is and coming up with the solution, because that's what really is required. And if you can't see straight, and if you're emotionally clouded, your judgment is clouded, and you're emotionally heightened, you're not going to be able to see what the problem is or the issue is, and you're not going to be able to approach it with the good thinking and judgment and wisdom that is required in solving a problem. So number one is when somebody is responding to you with non-responsiveness, ignoring you, stonewalling, or somebody is okay, let's talk about that first. That's a coping mechanism, and that is showing you that they are avoiding interacting with you. So they're having a lot of thinking and a lot of big feelings going on themselves, and that is always a reflection of what's happening inside of them. It's not a reflection of you, or a reflection, it's not like, you can't blame yourself or take it upon yourself to say, okay, well, what's wrong with me, or even blame him. You, as a mature, responsible adult, have to figure out a new way of communicating with this person that doesn't want to communicate. So how do you respond when you're trying to communicate with somebody, right? Most people, when you're trying to communicate with someone and they don't respond to you, you get upset, you may get angry, you may get annoyed, frustrated that, hey, look, I'm trying to communicate with you, and you're ignoring me. You're like, how does it feel when someone's like this to you, when you need to express and communicate and solve a problem with them? It's disrespectful also, right? So the first thing is to get a handle of what you're feeling and what's going on within you before you respond. And this is one of the main modules in my parenting and communication course, going from a marital relationship to a parental relationship, number one. And then number two is understanding how to approach higher conflict interactions, higher conflict situations. So you cannot react with anger or frustration and double down even harder, like, hey, you're not responding, like, because that actually pushes the person farther away, and you want to come up with a way to solve this, a solution that is going to give you results, and it's going to give you communication, it's going to give you collaboration. And yes, I get it. I know that there are people, getting to my next part of this, is that who are very controlling, who only want to do things one way or no way, and will find any way to make it go their way or no way. I know that. And they will do whatever it takes, whether it's manipulation or whether it's coercion or whether it's threats or whatever it is. So in order and to deal with that situation, you have to be more aware of what's going on inside of you, what you're feeling, and how you cope with that. And the reason why it's so important is that because if you're not aware of this, you're just going to fall back into the same habits, the same patterns of acting on your feelings. I feel angry, I respond like this. I feel upset, I respond like this. I feel hurt, I respond like this. I feel fear, I respond like this. And I'm not talking about conscious responses here from your highest self. I'm talking about reactions, like firecracker reactions here, which lead to don't lead to a positive outcome, which lead to actually bigger explosions. So what am I trying to say here? The thing is that you have to get a hold of yourself, and you have to understand your own modes of communication and expression, have to understand your coping mechanisms and how you play a role in the dynamic that you want to create now with this partner of yours as a parent, right? I mean, the marriage didn't work out, but you still have kids. You can't run away from that. And I know that it's extremely hard because, and that is why I created a course about this, And, you know, when we work together in this course, what I will teach you and what you will learn is how to recognize your styles from your own marriage of communication, and how to recognize if you're falling into those same patterns, and the results it's going to give you is the same results that brought you to the end of your marriage, right? Because each person has a role to play, has a part to play, and has a responsibility. And you know, one of the reasons why I developed this course is because I went through this myself, being in a relationship where I was so used to being a codependent person, meaning that was my norm. It wasn't I didn't feel off or odd or awkward or wrong being controlled. Like, that's the way I knew how to operate. And so when I did get divorced, and now this level of control is still expected. Well, it doesn't work that way, right? And as I started to develop my own sense of self and, you know, understand myself and build my own level of awareness and consciousness, I started to become my own independent thinking, free thinking person, making my own decisions, taking charge of myself and my life. And that brought up a lot of friction and a lot of conflict. Post-divorce or post-separation, that, you know, of course, I got help and mentorship and coaching in understanding myself and learning about my own patterns, that I was able to shift dynamics in my own communication styles and understanding why I do the things I do, and why I react the way I do. And that helped to shift things. Things are still not ideal, I would say, but they're so much better than they were before. And I want you to know that it's possible for you too. So if this interests you and you want to sign up for the course, I'm going to drop the link here. Let me know, send me a message that you're interested, and I will send you a coupon code for a discount. If you drop a link, drop a comment here telling me, you know, that you're saying interested, or you DM me that you're interested in the co-parenting course and that you want to know more and you want to sign up for it, and I'll send you a coupon code. And if you want to go into something deeper, if you're really struggling with, you know, making decisions, collaborative decisions for your children, and you want to reach out, you can also hop on a call with me and we can take a look at where your challenge is to support you in developing some type of a decent, respectful relationship as one human being to another, for the benefit of your children and the benefit of your sanity and your well-being, right? Because you don't want to be at war, and you don't want to be fighting with someone that you're already divorced with, right? Like, meaning like you're separated, but up here, he's still there with you. He's still, you know, with you every single day. You don't want to be in that situation, because the thing is that in marriages, you had the same communication pattern, you just didn't notice it because it just got avoided or it got distracted, and you went on with the rest of the things that you needed to take care of in life, right? And when you're married, maybe there's one person who's making more decisions about the kids than others, but like when you're separating, you know, everyone has different situations where maybe one parent is doing it all and making all the decisions, or a lot of us here, especially in the United States, like both parents make decisions and contribute most of the time. And so, or at least they have those rights. And, you know, a lot of times people do step up and you have to involve the other parent, even if you don't want to. And so that was going to require some other type of way of communication, which has to be consciously learned and recognized. Hope that was helpful, and I want to hear your takeaways, your comments, and let me know if you're interested in the course. I'm going to drop the link, and if you want to sign up for the course, send me a comment or a DM letting me know that you're interested, and I'll send you a code, a coupon code. All right? Sounds good. Take care. Peace and blessings.